All right, good morning, guys. Feels like a long time since we've recorded together. I've recorded a couple times on my own, and that was kind of fun. Not really, but pretty decent week last week. Um, that was a game where the Eagles and Bills went to overtime. We had Josh Allen. I think we had like 5%. Greg Dortch scored a touchdown, which was just kind of a flyer play, but obviously save a little bit of money. Trying to pull up the lineup right now. Jonathan Taylor had two touchdowns, which helped us. Pacheco had two touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, who is 4%, 20 carries, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Broncos defense was pretty solid. There wasn't really much else. I mean, Josh Allen pretty much took over that game. Two rushing touchdowns, two passing touchdowns. 339 passing yards. So, yeah, Dortch was 6% in most lineups or in most contests, but any other takeaways from last week's?
Yeah, I mean, the only real letdown from the lineup, well, I guess there was two. Josh Downs, he had a couple red zone targets, or, I think one was literally at the two, and they just didn't get the playoff. And then Kincaid only had like five, but that was our pairing with Allen. So it was fine. I mean, we played Doo Dortch just to pay up for Allen. He was basically like min price. We knew he was going to play. So we were just hoping he'd do a little something. And, he fell in the end zone, which is more than we were expecting. Other than that, I mean, Jacobs was pretty contrarian. Not a great script for him. Casey was projected to win by what? I think the spread was like 10. So he was low owned. He had a busted like a 60-yard touchdown run, and then we loaded up on Denver D. I think that was like the best defensive play on the slate with DTR at quarterback. I mean, he just really can't do anything.
I remember watching the Colts game. It felt like every time Minshew was going to throw the ball to Downs, it was kind of he was getting pressured and just threw the ball like, oh, like screw it, Downs is there somewhere, and he'll like throw it at his feet or throw it like 10 feet over his head. But then when he finds Pittman, it's like a rocket, like perfect laser to him and everything. But there was like a fourth down play too, where Downs was like a few yards past the first down marker, and Minshew just completely like missed him. It was so bad. I actually remember watching it at work and just screamed. But let's just jump into today's slate. Let me pull up the top stacks right now, and then we're just gonna break everything down by position. So, as you would expect, Miami, Houston, Detroit, Philly, Washington, Tampa. This is literally every stack here. It's sorted out by the rating. You can just see like, the average salary, um, QB ownership. So Tua is projected for 13%. I think everyone and their mother is gonna play Tua and Tyreek, Tua, Waddle, A-Chain, or whoever. But what else is standing out to you that would be good, like be a good secondary stack?
I mean, I might as well just go right back to Stroud. He is just so damn good. It's crazy. Easy pairing options, decent run backs as well. I think it's a good game environment, you know. And it feels like when Houston plays at home, there's just like it's kind of like the Lions playing at home where it just turns into like a good offensive game. I think the basically the NFC Championship game between the Niners and Philly is pretty interesting. I don't think I'd really want to pay for Purdy, but you can play Hurts, run back with a San Fran piece. Yeah, Miami's getting very, very popular. A-Chain just got ruled in. Most are still questionable. I'm assuming he'll play. He was limited in practice this week, but A-Chain, if he gets like 10 touches, can go for like a 150 and two tuds just because he's A-Chain. He has this lingering knee injury, which is kind of concerning. If he picks up more than like 15% ownership, I'm probably off. But if he's, sub 10, I'm definitely going to have some. Tampa's kind of interesting because Carolina is so bad, but the total's not all that good. I think it was 37 the last I checked. Here, let me just look at the totals real quick. Yeah, 37. I think that the Rams game is kind of sneaky for some offense. I mean, Cleveland's D is great. I mean, probably top three in the league. But when Stafford is clicking and those receivers are clicking, I mean, it's very hard to stop. And Cup is due for a Cup game sooner or later. And then the Indy game is pretty enticing with a 1 point spread, 43-point total. Pretty mediocre teams either drop 20 as a game total or like 50. I can see this going over. So that's where I would look.
The one thing about Cleveland too, they might have Joe Flacco starting. I don't know. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not, but he's obviously with the practice squad, so who knows? Um, I kind of like Detroit a little bit, as kind of nuts as that sounds. I know they're playing away, but New Orleans, for the most part, they have a decent defense, but Jared Goff and the Lions are pretty good. I know Goff hasn't played well the last few weeks, but this looks like a good bounce back spot. And if you see here the QB ownership, he's only projected for 3%. Sam Howell's is projected for 5. So like it to me it's nuts saying that Sam Howell's projected for 5% compared to Jared Goff only like 3. And it's obviously Friday and the slate doesn't start for another couple days. That's just something I find a little interesting. Um, let's just jump in and we'll get into more detail about that. So quarterbacks, Hurts, Tua, Herbert, CJ, Purdy, uh, Murray, Goff, Howell. There was really not many options. So lead us off. Let's go down the line.
Yeah, I mean, Hurts is always in play. It's not obviously, it's probably the worst matchup in the league in San Fran, but he's playing at home. He's got good stacking options, good run backs in that game. So he shouldn't garner all that much ownership either. Uh, he wouldn't be probably like top four for me this week, but if you're running multiple lineups, you can sprinkle a little Hurts. Tua, absolutely. I mean, Washington's just let up nuke after nuke to each quarterback. Feels like every slate. But if he's going to be mega popular, I'll probably just go somewhere else. He's probably top three, but not, you know, number one for me. I thought I would like Herbert more, but the total and the spread are just not where I thought they would be. I thought they'd be like 7, 8 point favorites. It's only 5. So I mean, Vegas likes the Patriots more than I do. So I'm probably off Herbert. I love Stroud. Don't love Purdy at his price, especially with Kyler right underneath him with the rushing ability. I think I'd rather just play Kyler over Purdy. Like you said, Goff, Howell, kind of a coin flip, probably the same ownership. I'd rather just take the home quarterback, I think. Miami's defense doesn't really scare me all that much, and they just lost Phillips with the torn ACL. So, maybe Howell can light it up. He's what, third in the league in passing yards this year? Something nuts. He's in play. And it'd be contrarian like to stack him and then have the Miami run back, then having the Miami stack, and then having the Washington run back. Russ, decent play. Houston defense doesn't scare me at all. Carr is sort of interesting. The Lions have been getting kind of torched. I mean, we saw Jordan Love look like, I don't know, prime Tom Brady last week. So at home, I can see Carr having a decent day. Stafford, no thanks. I don't think he's got the 3X all year. Minshew, Titans defense, especially the secondary, is very suspect. But I think if I'm just going to plug and play Moss, I'm just not going to play Minshew. Mayfield, no thanks. Pickett, like any of these guys down here, I'm probably off. I'd probably just stay above the car range.
I did remember seeing that the Patriots are planning on starting Bailey Zappi. I'm not saying you should play him, but the thing with me with the Chargers, their offense. when Mike Williams, whether he's healthy or not. In my opinion, they have a good offense. I think it's play calling and was it last week or a couple weeks ago where Johnson dropped that like wide open pass for a touchdown. There's like little stuff like that that happens. So I like getting to Herbert in this spot because there's always these issues with the offense. I think he's getting to that point where he's going to have to do something and help the team out. I got a feeling this Philly San Fran game is going to be like last week, where it was Philly versus Buffalo, where it's a high scoring affair, maybe. I don't know what it is with the Eagles, how they're 10-1. They just find ways to win games. So this could be interesting. I wouldn't really prioritize Hurts. Two is going to be like 25-30%. I mean, there's no shot he's not. I do like Stroud's price compared to the top three guys. Denver's defense is pretty average, but Stroud is pretty damn good. I know Denver's been a little hot recently, but I think that this can be a pretty decent high scoring game. Purdy, I don't like. Kyler, I really don't even like. Goff, I already kind of talked about him. It's just interesting to see Goff at 7,600 compared to like these guys here. So, and plus he's projected for like, what was that, like 3.8% or something. So I would say if you're playing multiple lineups, get a little bit of Goff, pair him with like St. Brown or Montgomery and do a run back of whoever. Howell, I don't mind as much. Kind of earlier, I was thinking like, oh, Sam Howell, no, but he's kind of shown. I think on Thanksgiving he had 300 passing yards against Dallas, and I know it was kind of a blowout game, but he was still doing fairly well, so I don't mind him as much. Russ, I don't even know what to make of him because I feel like if we roster him this week, he's gonna turn into last year's Russ. It's not much I really like. I loved Will Levis, but I don't know. I can't justify myself playing him after that week. He came in and played his balls off, but all right, on to running backs. CMC, there's no Jonathan Taylor. Kyron Williams, that price is insane. Mostard's questionable. Kamara, Henry, Bijan, Eckler, Montgomery, Gibbs, White, A-Chain. All right, you're on the clock again. Let's hear it.
Well, just going back real quick, the other reason I like Stroud and Russ, it feels like a must win for both. They're both 6-5, fighting for wild card spots. Just feels like a game both of them really need to win. The total's pretty high, 3 point spread. I'd probably just lean the home quarterback, play Stroud, and the way that Dell and Nico Collins are playing. But yeah, anyways, going back to running back, I think I'm off. CMC, I haven't seen where builds are going yet, but I can't imagine like optimizers are spitting him all that much. They're probably paying up for like 10K Hill, which I would also prioritize, but just not a great matchup against Philly. Obviously, he can pretty much just get 30 on anybody, but not my favorite play. Taylor not going to play this week. Zach Moss is pretty much a lock at like 5,600. He's like the 40th price running back this week. Just not doesn't make a lot of sense from Fanduel there.
Moss is one of the reasons, sorry, Moss is one of the reasons how I won 20K. So this could be another big 2 to 3 weeks, hopefully.
Yeah, Kyron Williams. I'm not really chasing that game. I mean, he's been playing way over his efficiency. I feel like every single week he started. Terrible matchup. I mean, they are at home, which I guess counts for something, but no thanks. I'd rather play A chain. I'm A chain over Mostert for $1,000 cheaper. Kamara's a decent play. I feel like he won't be all that owned this week. Henry, if they, I mean, how many carries did he get last week? I feel like Yeah, click his game.
Um,
18. I don't know. It just hasn't been there. I mean, I guess it's sort of been there. If they feed him this week, he could definitely do some damage against Indy. And if you
I
want to
just
get environment,
I just can't wait this week for him to get like 6 carries for like 7 yards, and then he's eventually gonna get his like seventh and score a touchdown.
yeah,
It's
especially what
so
happened last week.
he's so weird, dude. It's unreal. Like I remember just a few years ago he was like the talk. Who did they play where he ran like 99 yards for a touchdown?
The
Do you remember
Jags,
that?
yeah.
Like yeah, that was like a random like Tuesday game, but yeah, he's so weird. I love Derrick Henry. I think he's awesome, but this year he's just been kind of like going down a little bit. I mean, last week he kind of showed up for whoever rostered him, but we're gonna play him. He's gonna get a total of like 30 yards, but
I think he's a pretty decent play. I think with his production as well. I mean, the Titans have just stunk. Uh, it's really not his fault. I really don't think so.
no,
So
not at all.
Henry's probably top five for me. Bijan's appropriately priced now for once. He was like low 7Ks for ever. He's a fine play. Eckler, if you want a piece of the Chargers against the sorry Pats, sure. Usually he's like 9K, so seeing him at 8K is pretty nice. I don't know who to pick between Monty and Gibbs. Dart throws at best. Rashad White's a pretty decent play. He actually ran efficiently for once last week. I think he had like 15 for 100. I swear he's an average of like 2 yards per carry guy. Absolutely abysmal, but he's so good at receiving that they just keep him in. Stevenson, I mean, they're going to be playing from behind likely. Decent in the receiving game. If this was DraftKings, I'd probably prioritize him more for full PPR, but no thanks. Najee, him and Warren. I mean, where's Warren's price? Probably like 6'8", 6'5". Same. And then they're like Gibbs and Montgomery for me. I don't know. I'd rather just prioritize a guy I know is going to get like 18 plus touches. You don't really know who's going to get that between week to week. They have a fantastic matchup, and they're probably going to be leading that game. So I would like a Steelers running back, but picking the right one is literally a shot in the dark. Singletary at that
The
price, no chance.
the one, yeah, that's abysmal. The one thing I will say about Pittsburgh, did you see they had their first 400-yard game when they
Yeah,
fired Matt Canada? That's interesting in this spot against Arizona. I'm not saying that just because of running backs, but just overall in general, whether you pick either or whatever other positions, but that's something to kind of take into consideration. I don't think they can do it again, but sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. So I think I would like to throw some darts on the Pittsburgh backs. Singletary, no chance. Brian Robinson, I'd rather just play the Washington passing attack, I think. Swift, terrible matchup. He is cheap for DeAndre Swift's capabilities, but I don't even know where to get started with Brees Hall. That offense is just so bad.
I
I,
didn't even mean to click his name. It just happened. I just noticed he's questionable.
Javante, I never get him right, so no thanks. Ford, kind of interesting. Connor, I'd rather play Ford. Chuba and Miles Sanders, who knows with the new coach what they're going to do. I mean, I'm assuming Hubbard's still going to get a majority of the work, but who's to say? And it's not a great script and matchup. Anyone below that, I mean, I don't really think there's much in play besides Moss. I mean, you can just instantly just plug him in. 5,600 is he should be like a 7K back this week. He's involved in the passing game. No, they're not at home, but they're favored. Just a good spot for him.
There really isn't much for me to add. I guess if you really like narratives, James Conner playing against his former team. I
Yeah,
know the front line for Pittsburgh is pretty solid, but I mean, I remember James Conner at the beginning of the season. I remember we played him and he got hurt and he went on IR. He's a solid guy to get a bunch of carries and he'll fall into the end zone, so I don't really mind that. Yeah, there really isn't much else. I guess you can go Ramondre. I mean, the rush defense for Chargers is kind of ass. Ramondre is almost always a guy you can kind of rely on, whether it's passing or rushing. There isn't much else to add. Everyone's favorite wide receivers: Tyreek, Keenan,
I
Allen. What's up?
said, who the hell knows what's going to go on with all these injuries?
Oh, I know. I think these are just, I don't want to say random, but like, when NBA DFS LeBron's always questionable. I
Yeah,
think some of these is the same. AJ Brown, Evans, Tank Dell's price tag is insane to me. Ayuk, Waddle, Pittman, Smith, Nico Collins, Olave, who I don't think is going to play. So a lot of interesting options this week, though. So what are you thinking?
yeah. I mean, up top, Tyreek, 10K is crazy. I mean, at that price, you need to get like about 30 for tournament value. He can basically do that on 2 plays by himself, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm pretty sure the builds are going to land there, but that is a steep ass tag. Keenan, great matchup. Who knows? Oh,
My bad. I don't know what I clicked.
you're good.
All right, we're good. Sorry.
Amon Ra, I mean, okay script for him. He is going to get Lattimore, I believe, so not the best matchup for him. AJ Brown, sure. Mike Evans, I feel like he always has a career game against the Panthers. Not a great total though. I'd rather play White for 1,000 cheaper in that game. Dell or Collins, decent plays. I think I'll probably play Stroud, so I'm going to land on one of them anyways. I bet Dell's like double the ownership of Collins regardless because he just has all this hype around him. So I'd rather play Collins. IU, decent run back if you're playing the Philly game. Pittman, sure. I would rather play Downs. I think Downs is probably still like 6K compared to Pittman at 8K. Yeah, I think that's where I would go ahead of Pittman. Waddle, sure. Smith, sure. Debo is pretty interesting. I feel like he's kind of cheap, but I don't know. It just depends how that game rolls if they need him all that much. Puka and Cup, like we said, terrible matchup. But if Stafford's clicking, who knows? One of those guys could definitely get you 20. That's all you need at 7K. Hopkins, great matchup, decent run back against Indy. Thielen, target monster. Is Bryce Young going to get it to him? Who knows? Cortland Sutton, sure. Garrett Wilson, I can't play him when Tim Boyle's throwing to him. Deontay, no chance. Marquise Brown, eh. Amari Cooper, eh. McLaurin, decent. Pickens, no thanks. London, no thanks. No thanks, no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. Down, sure. Shaheed, I feel like he always garners ownership. I don't really know why, but like I feel like last week I saw Shaheed at like 10 or 12%. I was like, at 6K, why are we playing Shaheed? I don't get it. I'd rather play Dotson at 5'9, 100%. I don't know if there's anyone lower, honestly. Yeah, that's like no man's land. Oh, is MT out? I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
I guess
he's gone out.
I guess that's why Shaheed garnered ownership last week.
I think Shahid's gonna gain more ownership. What do I keep doing to my laptop? Because I I saw something yesterday that Olave is still in concussion protocol. Usually, it's like kind of hard to come back after a week. So I think Shahid's gonna get a bunch of ownership. So Tyreek, I thought I saw something that said he's most likely gonna play. This is one of those things where LeBron's questionable every time the Lakers play. unless he tweaks it in practice today, who knows? Keenan Allen, if he plays, great matchup. St. Brown, always, in my opinion, a play. I don't know what's up with AJ Brown. Mike Evans, for whatever reason, the Bucks can lose a game by like 20, and Mike Evans will have like 25 fantasy points, or he'll just go crazy. He's gotten a touchdown pretty recently. Like in three straight games, he's had four total touchdowns. He'll still find ways to get get you some points. Tank Dell, pretty much any like Noah Brown, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, those guys are good options. Ayuk or Devo, I don't mind too much. I would say go with Devo at 73. We've seen Purdy this year just target Ayuk a lot, and then obviously Debo was on the IR for a little bit. Pittman, solid. Minshew actually likes to throw the ball to him instead of downs for God knows what reason. Waddle playing against Washington, sure. I mean, there's a chance this is another uh, Miami versus Broncos game again from the beginning of the season, just because the Washington defense is so bad. Kind of the same thing you said about the Rams. If Stafford's clicking, Puka and Cooper Cup are going to be solid. Hopkins, I know Will Levis has kind of come down to earth a little bit, but Will Levis loves to target Hopkins and he'll still find a way. I know the last few weeks he's had some decent games. I think this is the game that Will Levis started or came in at. There really isn't much else I like besides kind of what you said. The reason why I said Noah Brown too is because I feel like beginning of this season too, he was getting some touchdowns and getting a lot of targets, and he's only 6,400 right now.
It really just
Downs
depends
is
if
good.
Robert Woods is in.
What?
It depends if Robert Woods is in.
That is true, yeah. Shaheed is a good play if they rule out Olave. He's going to be pretty kind of another lock, sort of compared to Zach Moss. You can do a run back thing with Dotson if you want. Quinn Johnston,
Don't do it.
I I would do it if Keenan Allen gets ruled out. That's all I'm gonna say. All right. Tight ends, Kittle, Laporta, McBride, who's questionable, Taysom Hill, Schultz, Freiermuth, Njoku, Goddard. I don't even think he's gonna play. There's some decent options, but what are you rolling with?
Well, we only got a couple minutes left, so I'm gonna run through this real quick. Kittle at 74, no thanks. Sam, sure. McBride, he's finally priced appropriately. Decent target share. He's in play. I never play Taysom, even though I should. Schultz is okay. Freiermuth had like 100 yards last week on the new offense. Maybe that's a new thing. Maybe that was just the Bengals tight end funnel or something. I don't know.
I was gonna say against
Joku,
the Bengals, yeah.
Joku, yeah. Higby, no thanks. Keep going. Logan Thomas always in play for me for some reason. I just always click him. Uh, Hunter Henry, sure. Keep going. Where's Johnson? Yeah, I like Jawan Johnson this week, especially if Olave is out or Shaheed's out. More target share for him. Uh, I don't really like any of these other guys. Tight end's pretty dry this week.
The only other person I would kind of think of is Gerald Everett. He actually won me a shitload of money against that Ravens Chargers game. I There's obviously better options, but if you need a salary saving guy at 5K where Fields actually or Herbert throws him the ball, Taysom Hill I like. I think of tight ends as flyers to an extent. Do you want to talk about defense? Is there one that's actually sticking out to you besides Miami?
I mean, not really yet. I'll dig in more to that, and I'll throw some chat in the Discord about it.
All right. That should just about do it, though. Anything else that we missed?